Like with Fidelity, I can invest as little as $1. So fractional shares on ETFs as well as individual stocks, the fees associated with the different accounts that I have, everything is fitting well into what I want.
Perfect. So one of the things is that, for somebody that was in that situation, it's like really not sure of where to start because, like you said, you had a young daughter, um, and you didn't start investing until she was 10. Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting show of the About That Water podcast, where we help you build strong financial habits so that you can have the confidence in talking about money, spending money, or even investing money. And speaking of investments, I have the awesome person that's coming to you who talks about stocks, help you learn about stocks, and also learn how to invest. And her name is Lisa J. Stocks. How you doing today, Lisa?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Welcome. So, what really um, got you into stocks in the first place?
Well, I first dipped my toe into it just by going to work full time and then having a 401k, having my HR department reach out to me and you present it to me as, do you want to participate in this plan? So that was the start of it. And that's all I was doing for, the first decade plus of my investing journey.
Yeah, those government, well, not government, those job investments are usually most people's first one. So, like the 401k plan or the 403b, depending on what
Yeah.
industry you're in.
Mhm.
Did they actually walk you through all the steps and, like, obviously how to invest? But did they talk about like the fees and everything like that when you first started?
No, and in time over the years, I would then, when they would come to our facility, our corporate campus to visit the Fidelity, for example, I would go to those sessions to gain more knowledge. But I wasn't aware. I just jumped into it. I allocated whatever percentage, I agreed to it. It was coming out of my check, but understanding the performance and increasing it over, every year, making these or anything. I didn't know what was going on. I was contributing. I wasn't paying attention. I did not have a good understanding of what I was doing. If it was enough, if I was on track, what my goals were, I did not know.
But the fact of the matter is that you took a step forward, which
Mhm.
is amazing because a lot of people just don't know and they're afraid to even take that first step because they want to know everything before they even invest. It seems like you just took the opposite route. It's like, you know what? Hey, they say invest, I'm doing it. And this is where it's going at. So is that something that you would recommend most people do, or just kind of here it's like, nah, I can
Take
learn.
advantage of their workplace
Mhm.
retirement account?
Yeah.
Most definitely. And I've been working full time since I've been 19 years old. So when I say, that my what my mindset was, please take into account that I was very young at that time. I hadn't like finished college and wasn't mid 20s getting started with this. So yeah, especially if there is a company match, take advantage of that. And I think it's the simplicity of it, just having it come out of your paycheck and you don't even see it. You don't have to be responsible for making the deposit or taking it upon yourself to say, hey, am I going to give a break from this? And just let it be out of your hands. Let it go right direct from your check to getting invested. So I think it's
Yeah.
a great first step that everyone should be taking advantage of.
Now, some people might be listening and be like, well, it must be nice to have a company that does that. And usually, most people don't even have enough to have more week or more month than their paycheck. And you're talking about investing. What about those people? How could they actually help their journey to start building some of that wealth, even though they don't have enough to even take care of their day to day?
Yeah, I think we all need to have our eyes open to that, whether you work in an industry that doesn't provide it, or you're in a place where you keep changing jobs. Go call up a brokerage company, Fidelity, for example, but whichever you prefer, and you can then explore options of creating your own IRA there and they can walk you through that. And, like I said, the simplicity is there when your working is coming out of your paycheck. But if it's not there, you can create your own avenue to get on track with investing for retirement or whatever your investing goals are. But definitely retirement should be in there as the first one, in my opinion.
Mm, yeah, because a lot of times we like to invest in ourselves and so forth. And obviously, you took that advantage of investing for yourself, but investing for the next generation. Like, what was your reason why you even got into investing? I mean, besides just doing it, but what is your reason now? Because you said your 19-year-old self, and now you're a little older. What would you say your why is now?
Well, I have several, for retirement, for the true retirement age of the, over 67 years old plus in that range, and for early retirement to make my life easier so that I hopefully can retire early, and also for my daughter because I want her money to be growing at the pace and at the rate that I am trying to do for myself. And I want her to have an understanding of you earn and you don't just spend all of the money. You allocate some money for investing because our goal is to make sure that our money is making more money.
Yeah. And investing for the children, that's one of the things that a lot of people who are listening might have children. They might be maybe 2 years old or 3 years old, under 10, I would say. And did you start investing for her when she was a baby, or did you wait until she was old enough to understand money?
No, I could have started investing for her when she was a baby, when we had her social security number and her information, her birth certificate. Once we had those documents, we could have started investing. No, I did not. She was probably, probably about 10 when I started investing on her behalf. But that's just because of where I was at in my journey. It could have been started earlier. One thing I did do for her was I had her on my credit cards. I was trying to establish her credit, and I did certain things, but I wasn't in the place yet with the knowledge of, do I want to explore a 529 plan or a UTMA account? Right now, she's actually a teenager. So now she has a Fidelity Youth account as well as a UTMA account. So two places that she can invest. And she has high yield savings account. And she has an understanding of all of these different things.
Okay, you mentioned a UTMA. What is a UTMA?
Uniform transfers to minor acts. So it is a way of investing on, it's like you are the custodian of an investment account for a child. And when they become of age, the age of maturity and whatever your state is, then it will be passed on to them. But I wanted that account as opposed to a 529 plan, which is linked to education. With the UTMA account, the money is invested, but it's not necessarily only tied to education expenses. So I wanted that flexibility.
That is amazing to have that knowledge because somebody who was in your shoes, what advice would you give them who are on the fence or trying to invest for their child or just kind of curious on where to start? I know you mentioned Fidelity. Is there anything in particular within Fidelity or any of these brokers that you kind of recommend for them to go, like search inside these brokers account?
Well, I mean, I don't have much experience with a lot of different brokers. I basically had experience with Empowerment and Fidelity. Two of my companies that I was working with, my 401ks were with Fidelity. So when I had the opportunity, I wound up bringing all of my accounts under that roof because I liked my experience with them. I think that they have good customer service, their website. They I just overall was having a good experience with them. I'm not saying I can't really give you a rating on others, but it's about the fees and the flexibility, and you have to weigh definitely the options that they offer. Like with Fidelity, I can invest as little as $1. So fractional shares on ETFs as well as individual stocks, the fees associated with the different accounts that I have, everything is fitting well into what I want.
Perfect. So one of the things is that, for somebody that was in that situation, it's like really not sure. of where to start? Because like you said, you had a young daughter, and you didn't start investing until she was 10. And for somebody who actually like not sure where to start, should they first go ahead on and go to the library, or are there any books that they should be trying to reach out to? Like, what really helped you decide, like, hey, this is what I need for my daughter?
Well, I really couldn't recommend any finance books. I think I've really learned a lot just by talking to certain family members and friends that were knowledgeable and just understanding even just an ETF, an exchange traded fund, a mutual fund, an index fund. Those are easy ways for people to get started with investing. The rate of return, it's going to be pretty much steady. There's lots of years of history for you to look back on. And I think that is, you don't have to, I definitely like to stress to people that you don't have to pick individual stocks.
Mm.
Most likely, what I do with my daughter's account, she has 80% into those type of funds. And then I chose, because I feel that I have the knowledge to do it, I chose the remaining 20% into individual stocks. But you're getting started, you could do 100% into a fund like that. And you don't have to, get all stressed out and do all of this research and feel like I can't do it. Do not feel like that. Get going with it. And when you know and you do some research and you gain more knowledge, then you can add something new to the portfolio. But don't wait. You can get started with a basic investment, an S&P 500 investment, for example.
Oh, that is perfect, because a lot of people just don't know where to start. And I love that you said just go down and start with the S&P 500, because everybody try to set themselves to that standard. Like, oh yeah, did you beat the S&P 500 all the time on the news? And it's like, oh, what is that? So, you know, doing so and investing is one thing, is which is, do you have like a breakdown for what somebody should allocate to investing, as far as like maybe 10% of their income, 20% of their income to investments, or what do you suggest, or
Well,
like best practice?
I usually suggest what I saw on the Fidelity website of 15%. And, having, say, they have a little range that they give. Like at 30 years old, for example, you should have 1 year invested. And most people, when they hear these numbers and see at 45, 50, they realize how off track they are. But, everyone's circumstances are different, but it's a gauge. And then you have to use the calculators and the things that are available in the brokerage accounts so that you can say, am I on track? Where do you live? Is your house paid off? How many people are contributing to, your household? You may not need to have an investment account of someone else. So you have to know your circumstances and set your goals based on that. But definitely the numbers that you threw out of 10 to 20%. Yeah, I think we definitely all need to probably be in that range.
Yeah, because in order to get there, but we need to stay out of debt first. Like that's important. So how do we got our investments, or at least we thinking about it. But we looked at our bank account and realized, like, hey, I'm really in debt. How do you first get out of debt and stay out of it?
How to get out of debt.
Well, I could
Well,
take that one.
listen, you have to face the numbers. I always say you're gonna have to sit down, write down all the balances, write down all of the interest rates, and come up with a plan. Evaluate your budget, see what you can cut. And you're going to have to make those sacrifices to battle debt, because I know once things are getting maxed out and they have high interest hitting every month, I've been in that battle before. So I mean, you just have to make a plan and go about attacking it. Whether it's working a second job, potentially living with family members, having a roommate. You got to find a way to get your money in a better place so that you can deal with, what you need to dig yourself out of.
Yeah. So getting out of debt, what was your reason why you wanted to get out of debt in the first place? Because some people just love living in debt, and some people just don't want
Well,
to.
I don't think we get into debt intentionally. You might be underemployed, and then those things just keep coming up. Like when you need a new car, or need car repairs, or just everything just winds up hitting your credit card and then lingering there for months or years. So, uh, you know, it was just a matter of just for me as when I was able to, my earnings were increasing. I was just going to be able to um, focus on getting rid of the debt, whatever I could do, because it wasn't a way that I ever wanted. There wasn't a cycle that I got into intentionally. So, I just have to focus on getting out of it.
Yeah. And what was one of the adversaries that you had when you were going through your money journey that, realized like, hey, I really need to take control over this financial thing?
Um, During the time frame when I had been laid off twice
Hmm.
within 4 years. I had gotten laid off twice. Um, and then, going into the pandemic and all of that we went through, and just being nervous about, what the world was going to look like, what the economy was going to look like. When could I get laid off again? Could I, could my just not being able to go to work, am I going to get impacted? Then it just made me say, hey, I need my finances to be um, just on point. I need to know that I can rely on myself, that I put myself in the best possible position so that when these things happen, you can't assume. Who knew that we would get stimulus money? And I never had any interruption with my job. I was working 100% from home for a long time, but I didn't know. No one knows. No one knew going into that situation what it was going to look like. Thankfully, I came out of it okay. But I didn't know, and I don't want to ever run into anything and feel like I am not prepared. I want to know that I am trying and I am as prepared as I put in the effort to make sure that I was ready for whatever comes up. So
Yeah. Can you talk about being laid off? Like that first time laid off? Like, how did you feel?
it felt terrible. And it was the first company, it was the only place I had ever worked. I had
Mhm.
many jobs there, maybe eight or so different roles because I had been there for a long time. And that company was acquired by another company, but it wasn't really that much. And when we were acquired, um, when they called me in and told me the details of it, that came out in the news. But when they told me the details of getting laid off, I was given 1 year and 3 months notice of my end date. So that was a different, and like I said, I was working there for many years. So, they listen, the severance and the retention and I was staying until the last day, and that is what I did. So, but that was as getting laid off, it was I would say it was the best circumstances that they possibly could have done. Only thing could have been better is if that company that acquired us was actually still in my same state and wanted to keep some of us, as opposed to, there being redundancy and not wanting to keep all of the employees. So,
Well, that's good because I mean, at least they gave you that long notice instead
mhm.
of like sometimes some of these jobs, depending on the state, they can just be like, you know what, we don't need you anymore. You're out.
Yes.
Uses.
Yes, I do know. I do know.
Oh, that happened to you?
Yes, it's happened
Okay.
to me in different ways. I just
Oh,
told you the first scenario.
oh, how was it the second time?
The second time wasn't so bad either. It's the third
Okay.
time that,
Oh, the third.
the
Oh,
third time wasn't
mm,
so favorable, but I don't want to get too much into that. But
okay.
yeah, second time I was also given 6 months notice, and it is what it is. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
And one of the things is I do enjoy listening and just having this conversation with you is that you continue to work and do your best all the way up to the end and not just let projects linger because you know that your job isn't going to be there anymore. Um, because a lot of people would just say, like, you know what, well, if you don't need me anymore, I'm gonna just take my sweet time on this project
No,
and not
no, I
care.
transitioned. I transitioned my role, if there was one, if that was the process, and um, if there was opportunities to continue looking within the company, I did that. It wasn't. wasn't any like hard feelings about the situation, you know.
Okay.
The,
Well,
the
that's
second
good.
time it was, it was predominantly that the company that I was working for decided to, downsize their presence in my state. They were moving to, some other Cincinnati and Boston and different places that were not commutable for me. So it is what it is.
That's okay. But you're here now. I mean,
Mhm.
you're obviously teaching people about stocks on your YouTube channel. So, you know, can you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel? Like, what are you doing in that space to kind of help other people? Like, why did you even start it?
Well, why did I start it? I was inspired by some other YouTubers, and it was just something that was in the back of my mind. And I just kind of finally said, of all the things that I want to share, I know that finance is number one for me. Um, and I just want to show people a different face, a different person out here doing it and just sharing my journey and hopefully letting them know that, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
It's not hard, and it's something that we all need to be taking advantage of. So,
And you really are staying on top of this stuff. So I've been checking you out. I was like, man, I didn't even know that Google was going through some things that you highlighted on one of your recent videos. So
okay.
yeah, I know I'm not putting you on the spot here, but it's fine. It's okay. The so this brings up the third segment, which is like what skills or habits that you feel will take you to that next level.
I think when it comes to investing, you need to be consistent and you need to do your research. Make sure you're having a plan because, listen, my goal here is to make money. So don't jump into things without knowing what you're doing, knowing the risk and making sure that what you're investing into or if you're trading, that it is truly in line with your goals and just taking every step that you can to mitigate your risk so that you're not losing money. I think
Perfect.
some people jump in and Mhm.
Oh no, keep going. Like you said,
No,
some
I
people
think some
just
people just hear about something, oh, let me throw some money on it, or think that trading is easier than what it is and don't even understand the stop loss. And I've heard Larry Jones and Keenan Grace, they were one of them. I think Larry was telling Keenan, so these people are jumping into this stuff, and then it's like they're jumping out the plane, and then they're saying, well, where's the parachute? How do you use a parachute? You don't get into you don't invest or you don't get and put let me pick up 5 of these options contracts, and you don't know how to use a stop loss, you don't have an understanding of what you got into, you don't understand time decay, you next thing you blink and you're losing money, and that was not the goal in getting into this. So that's what I mean. Take your time, learn. If there's an option to paper trade, journal, do whatever you got to do, work on, build up your knowledge whatever way you can. Don't just jump in. But I say all that to say that what I was talking about earlier with the exchange traded funds or opening a high yield savings account and making sure that you're getting 5 point something percent interest, those are basic things that we don't need to wait on. There are other things that we need to build up our knowledge on. So
definitely. Man, all right, that's a lot of information, but it's really good to understand. It's like read the manual before you start utilizing it. Love it.
yes, okay.
Is there anything else you want to leave the people before we dive into the final 4 questions?
No, no, I think, I just truly wanted my channel to be a place where I was showing you what I'm doing, and hopefully you can learn and implement some of those things in your own strategies. But, if I'm highlighting something that you weren't aware of or something was you felt you were intimidated by a process, I hope that I'm able to simplify it and show you that it can be done and it's worth it in the long run because, your money, you can put your money at Bank of America, it's not doing anything. You invest your money into the S&P or into some Amazon stock a few years ago, it has grown, you know, so
Love it. All right, ready for the final 4 questions?
sure.
All righty. Number one, what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth means security. It means that you don't have to worry about yourself. You don't have to worry about your older self, that you are putting yourself in a place where um, you are financially secure and able to sleep well at night, knowing that you put in the work. So
All right. Number two, what was your worst money mistake?
I think one of my worst money mistakes was not focusing on um, finishing college right away and starting to work full time and then having to go to work full time, go to college at nights on the weekends for many, many years to get that accomplished. Because obviously, once I got that college degree, I was able to advance in my career and earn more money. I was in the industry that I needed a college degree. So I think that I should have made more of an effort to deal with whatever I had to, not worry about money, apartment, car. I was also a mom, so I did have to worry about my daughter, but there was a lot of other things I wish I had taken a step back and said, let me focus on my education.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you're the first person to say that, focus on your education and get it done first instead
Mhm.
of just worrying about putting money some other
Mhm.
place.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be college. Work on, whether it's your trade, whatever you need to do to advance yourself in your career. Focus on that first. I think that was my money mistake.
Awesome. Number three, what is your favorite financial or non-financial book?
Now, I don't really have a favorite financial book, but I do. This is a book that I really have enjoyed and I've read twice. It is Chandra Rhimes' The Year of Yes.
Number four, what is your favorite dish to make?
This one, I don't know. I'm not really big into cooking, but dish to make. You can't even say dish to eat. I have to make the dish.
I mean, if you want to give me a dish you love to eat,
No,
that's
a
fine.
dish I like to make. I don't know. I think I kind of enjoy making pineapple upside down cake. Is that an okay dish, or do I have to give an entree? Not a desserts.
Hey, if you love to make a dessert, hey, go for it.
Okay.
That's it. Uh, and the very last question of the whole show, which is, where could people find out more about you?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Lisa, middle initial J, stocks like in the stock market. And there you will find my link tree and you can find my email and other social media contacts there. But I am also Lisa J Stocks on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming through. It's been a pleasure to learn more about your story and really helping people go through life, learning about how to save, invest, build wealth, and stay out of debt. Thank you so much for coming through. And
No
if any,
problem.
you're welcome. And if any of you all have found any awesome value from any of this conversation, please make sure you go ahead on and like, subscribe, share, all the fun stuff. Even if this is just on the audio side of the house, go on and share it with somebody and actually have that conversation with your loved one. Who knows? This could actually take you to that next level. All right, everybody. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Peace.